New England take.
All right, so if you're just checking out the second half of the show, AJ at newenglandtake.com if you have anything you have to say about what I'm saying here on the program. All right, going to a local Concord subject, big coverage in the Concord Monitor, a lot of attention on social media. I got into the comment section of it, and it was chaotic. I guess is one way to say it. Me being called all sorts of fun things, but go to the headline ConcordMonitor.com. I'll put in the episode description if you're checking this out on YouTube or the podcast. In a rare move, Merrimack Valley High School recommends removal of book from English classes following parent complaints. In one of the first known successful book challenges in the state, the parents' complaint this fall led a Merrimack Valley High School committee to recommend the removal of a well-known young adult novel from the required reading list of its English courses. The book, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, is a 1999 coming-of-age story that includes descriptions of sexual assault, consensual sex, drug use, and a reference to an abortion. Oh yeah, and there's also, it's basically rape. I mean, that's one of the things in here. We're going to talk a little more on the specifics here in a minute. But it's among the most frequently banned or restricted books in schools, according to the organization PEN America, P-E-N America, which tracks successful challenges to academic materials. So I clicked the link that's in the episode, in the article here, sending over to Penn, the normalization of book banning from October 1st, 2025, and it has a graphic where it's the most banned books of the 2024-2025 school year by district. I've become more and more concerned every day on teachers' ability to make sure they're putting appropriate books in schools. It shouldn't be an issue like this, but I mean, why is A Clockwork Orange considered something appropriate? I've never read the book. I've seen the movie. Traditionally, the book's usually a little more graphic than the movie, which entails graphic violence, torture, sexual assault, to put it gently, just brutality. It's not a high school book. This is an adult-oriented thing. Another thing in here is A Court of Mist and Fury. Once again, one of those things that the book talk trend constantly has this series of books in there from Sarah J. Maas, where it's blatantly known as being it's pornography. It's what it is. I'm going to try to gloss over it a little bit here, but that's what it is. That's the whole reason why Book Talk is obsessed over it, because it's a hive of talking about those sorts of adult books. Smut. That's the whole thing. I don't know anything about Wiccan. I mean, maybe there's some things in there that are inappropriate in the novelization, but The Perks of Being a wallflower has all sorts of stuff in it that's inappropriate. So continuing on, the Merrimack Valley High School is the third known school district in New Hampshire to restrict access to a book in response to a complaint, according to PEN America's records, which began tallying challenges across the country in 2021. Its list is likely incomplete. Well, yeah, of course, it's not complete. They're not able to track every time a book is taken off. And what's especially annoying with this one is it's not censorship. It's required curriculum, and this is a parent actually stepping up and saying, hey, I have an issue with the fact that this content is being put out there. I mean, I want to be sure to get to some of the content in here before I talk about some of the comments I experienced. So out of curiosity, because I never read the book, it came out in 99. Still kind of new when I was getting high school. It was not something that was circulating. And when I put into Grok, my local school says there's inappropriate content for high schoolers in the book Perks of Being a Wallflower, especially in a sexual manner. What lines in the book are they talking about? And it gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different instances in the book that has been called out as being tremendously inappropriate, ranging from sexual assault, where she's getting sexually abused and beaten up by her boyfriend. Once again, these are about teenagers, 15, 16-year-olds in the book. Taking care of themselves, just put it that way. There's a scene where let's call it the Bill Clinton method. We know what I'm talking about? The Bill Clinton thing? Yeah, that. Repeatedly There's an abortion subplot in the book. There's casual discussions with regards to all sorts of sexual acts. This is not an appropriate book for high schoolers. I'm sorry. Call me a prude. I made it through 4 years of high school. I made it through college without having anything of this nature being put out there as something I would have to read as part of the required reading curriculum. Personally, to me, I say this shouldn't even be in the school library. That's my opinion, but there's a whole other can of worms that I want to dive into. But this isn't a book banning situation. This is a book with very adult content in it, just being put out there where like this is pornographic. It may not be the reason, but you remember the demographic that we're having read this. Like how this is exposure to things that kind of opens the doors to very other adult content in the world, which is becoming more and more of an issue. And it's a big recurring theme we're talking about. Artificial intelligence nowadays is being talked about is the fact that it's being used for adult purposes. Trying to phrase it that. Sorry for phrasing it this way. Like this is I'm trying to get on the radio with this content and community TV and not get the hammer of censorship from YouTube for putting it on there. This is not okay for to just be put out there as literally forced upon these high schoolers that they have to read it, and I don't think it's good for their development. I don't think it's good for opening their eyes to the sort of content that may be out there. That hey, I'm not dumb. They have access to it. There's all sorts of adult content out there that high schoolers have access to, especially in the world of modern day internet and everything of that nature. That's a given. But it's my role as a parent, your role as a parent if you're a parent, to try and protect them. Yeah, you should shield them. So one of the big things that was constantly put in the comments is, so you're shielding them, they're experiencing all this stuff. Yeah, but we should also encourage them, as the adults in their life, to have a more wholesome look at the world and a more respectful look at the way they treat relationships and things like that. Like one person, so the Facebook comments, I just did one initial thing. My initial comment was, I think we need to seriously consider what quote-unquote young adult means in book classification. High school required content should not require this. And then quoted from the Concord Monitor article referring to it. I had no idea it was eventually brought up the LGBTQ angle on it. That's beside the point, honestly. It's not really the issue of concern here, in my opinion. It's the graphic sexual content in it. This is a big thing I've been talking about where people have been all butthurt about genderqueer being taken out of school libraries and things of that nature, which is, once again, it's showing graphic sexual content. This should not be in a school library situation. It should not be part of the required curriculum. That wasn't necessarily part of the required curriculum, but this book is. And one person commented here, actually, I think it's a great age to discuss consensual sex, women's rights, and drug use, as this entire country is affected by substance abuse. You think a 16 or 17-year-old can't handle those conversations, or doesn't need to have them before they turn into adults who can be prosecuted as adults for their behavior? You don't find it important to have difficult conversations with kids and teenagers so they know what's safe and unsafe, acceptable and unacceptable behavior? You're literally giving them a book that shows them unacceptable behavior. Well, let's start there, but moving on from that, I literally wrote as a reply to this and 6-7 other comments. I'm going to copy and paste this to the 5 other people that wrote this. That is the role of parental figures, not the public school system, to discuss. Flat out. That's period. If you wanted to, in my opinion, wrongly, but whatever, introduce these sorts of things to your child, pubescent child, and all these different things, and what's going on in the world in a very aggressive format, as this book does, that's for you. It should not be mandated by the government. This is what it comes down to with public schools. Do we as a people allow our government to mandate on our children? And I don't think it's appropriate that this is mandated on the children. There is a person, at least one other person, I also went in the comments on Instagram. The Concord Monitor is a hive of left-wingers if you're following them online. That's just what it is. I know what I'm getting into. If I go to the Union Leader, it's more of a mixed bag, but the Concord Monitor is followed by a left-wing audience. That's the majority of the people that are there. It's because it's Concord. It leans Democrat. And one person there, some alleged doctor of philosophy or something, was on there in the comments. She's some Portsmouth resident. Said, well, you can just have your child exempted from that part of the curriculum. It is not that easy to have a kid exempted for probably weeks from their English class because of a book that's literally inappropriate for the age bracket. It should not be an issue. Should just be by default that this content is not there. We should not be reading books about people getting Bill Clinton in the car at a stoplight. Like, things like this should not be part of the curriculum. And anyone that says otherwise they've jumped the shark. I think honestly it's what it's come down to. They don't understand how far they've taken the nature of dialogue when it comes to appropriateness. Children are children and should be treated as such. If it's my role as they find things in the world to explain to them what the way things are, and hey, guess what? They're not going to get everything by the time they turn 18. Did you know everything by the time you turned 18? No. We keep sending people off to college because they're not ready for the real world. Remember that? But they're definitely okay to take on this content when they're 15, 16 years old? No. And one person replied, the book is for and about teenagers. That's who young adult category is for. Then maybe we should reconsider what sort of authors we celebrate in this bracket if they're specifically writing for this. Because this is not young adult material. This is, by the way I'm told in these comments, young adult materials for teenagers. Well, then you better be very careful what books your kid's taking out from the young adult section. I personally, we shop at Gibson's bookstore here in Concord. I'm keep keen eye on what my kid's looking at, because I don't trust a lot of these individuals that have left-wing ideals and are promoting reading, which sucks. Reading is awesome. It's really important. My kid loves to read. I want him to read more and more. But that doesn't mean they have to read these things. There's a million things that are appropriate. Another person was saying, well, will you expect The Great Gatsby and Shakespeare to still hold up? It's like, yeah, because they're timeless books that tell a story. Not everything needs to be, we're going to hit the nail on the head every single time of sexual content and drugs and things like that. There's a way of talking about things without it being so blatant. And I think that's something that's lost on people. And it's unfortunate. We should be able to talk through things without just saying the most direct, aggressive thing, especially when it's talking to kids. Because we should be teaching them morals and ideals and a way to look at the world that isn't just cynical. Well, they're going to see it, so we might as well just let it happen. No. That is the polar opposite of how it should be. We should let kids experience the world and learn what's going on around them. But I'm more and more black-pilled when it comes to current events even being brought up in the classroom, because I don't think we can trust what a lot of teachers put out there for news articles. Because, there should be a level of media analysis as part of it, but when this is the sort of novels that are being suggested, I don't know what I can trust. It's unfortunate. If your kid is in public school, please be very aware of what teachers being put out there. All right, NewEnglandTake.com. Big thank you to WKXL for picking up the show. Check it out Saturday mornings, 8:30 a.m. GraniteGrock.com also picks up the show every Saturday, and Concord TV picking up the show. AJ at NewEnglandTake.com if you want to reach out to the show. I want to hear your comments. If you've got an opinion, you want to be a guest, you know someone who might be an interesting guest, please do reach out. I'm trying to expand the show and get in front of more people, and the best way to do it is make sure I'm hitting topics people care about. All right, NewEnglandTake.com. Talk to you soon.